Well, good evening and welcome to the April meeting of the Attleboro Historic Preservation Society. And this is a new setting for us, so and we had a welcoming committee, so we didn't climb the grand stairs. I remember the last time we met here, Bea Peck was with us, and Dennis escorted her to her car afterwards. She had just had her knee operation, so this is a better place for we older people. I know there are a lot of young people here, but we older ones. I've asked David Eaton to be the flag bearer to this evening, and as you all know, we start our meetings with a salute to the flag and we sing. And on your cards tonight there are 2 verses, so let's do the 2 verses and then go back to the first one and raise the roof. Maybe there'll be some basketball. Yes, so maybe we can stir up some trouble. So David, if you'll stand so we can salute the flag. Thank you very much. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. All right, get your cards out. Our fathers God to thee, author of liberty, to thee we sing. Long may our land be bright, with freedom's holy light. Protect us by thy might, great God our King. Come on now. My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. This society was formed in 1999, and it was formed as a non-profit organization now, and are we ever a non-profit? Registered with the Secretary of State and the IRS, and the purpose was to preserve, promote, and to develop the historical assets of Attleboro, its traditions, its people, landmarks, relics, and tonight we'll talk about some landmarks. And we've been highlighting Attleboro's history through more than 100 programs. And we're happy to have you with us tonight. And before I turn the meeting over to Betty, just a few words about the Academy, because quite a few of you asked me about the Academy. Let me just see what I wrote, if I can read it. Yes, Attleboro still leases the building. No, we do not have an occupancy permit. Yes, this more than 170-year-old building needs help. But we hope you continue to attend our meetings wherever we join. So, Betty, you're on.
Well, probably most of you have been here in the Armory, which is now the Fred Bartek Recreation Center. But I know when I came here this evening and I parked along the wall at Richardson School, which I attended in grades 7 and 8, but we used to come over here to the Armory because Richardson School did not have an auditorium. So when we ever had a function, like a Memorial Day celebration or what, we would come here to the Armory, upstairs in the big room, and I think of Memorial Day or Labor Day or any of the holidays, there was always military. And I always think of Mr. Cooney was one, Mr. Roundsville, I don't know if you recognize any of those names, but they would always be sitting on the stage. It was special, it really was. So then, of course, when I went to Attleboro High School, all our basketball games were played here. And that was special. I mean, it was just, Tuesday and Friday nights, I think, Friday nights, Pine Street was busy because everybody would come here to the games. And that was another. Even though it's old, Dennis, what is it? 1910, and here we are. But if you walk in that hallway, I never remember being down here. It is beautiful. And then upstairs is equally as magnificent as it was in its early time. So it is a historical landmark. I'm very proud to say that it is used by the Attleboro community. But I'm not going to give you all that information, Dennis will. And I kidded my husband tonight too. I said, I'm going to introduce my former third grade student. And I used to have a special pet name for him, but I won't do that. It's Dennis Walsh.
Good evening. Welcome to the Bartek Recreation Center. To many who have been around Attleboro for a long time, it's hard to get used to the new name, because since it was built in 1910, this building was named the Attleboro State Armory. And it was renamed the Bartek Recreation Center in 1969. I'm sorry, it became a recreation center in 1969. It was named the Bartek Recreation Center in 2004. We're honored to have you back. Many of you were here for the 100th anniversary of this building, which was dedicated back on December 10th in 1910 originally, and now here we are 104 years later. Tonight I'm going to touch a little bit upon this building and then some of our other recreational facilities in Attleboro, and then I'm going to discuss a little bit about a program that we're undertaking to preserve the legacy of our recreational facilities here in Attleboro. And then after that, there'll be tours available. If anyone would like to go upstairs, you can go back out the ramp and up another ramp outside, or there are 2 staircases. I think there's a total of about 20 steps if you go out here and to the right. As I mentioned, this building was built in 1910. It's a magnificent building of Romanesque Revival architecture, and it was one of 3 state armories built in 1910. There was also one built in Greenfield and one in Hingham. Researching some newspaper articles from 1910, I quote that the construction of the Attleboro Armory was very controversial, with townsfolk divided as to whether or not it should be built. In the end, the building went forward due to the foresight, efforts, and some would say political underhandedness of Selectman S.M. Holman. So politics hasn't changed, but we're a benefit of whatever was happening in 1910. 2 things I find interesting about that quote is that it was controversial. Had they known then what we know now and how well this facility would serve our citizens, our city, our state, and our country, there certainly would not have been any controversy. Second, where it mentions that townsfolk were divided, it reminds us that Attleboro, originally and for 280 years, was a town before being incorporated as a city in 1914. This marks the 100th anniversary of Attleboro being a city, and there will be a big celebration later in the fall, September. I'm sure you folks are very active in that. The Armory was officially dedicated on December 16th, 1910, at a cost of $45,000. To put that into perspective, since I've been recreation director, we've rebuilt the front stairs and the side stairs at a total cost of $46,000. For the first 50-plus years of operation, the Armory was used as a training facility for the brave men and women of Company 1 as they prepared to serve us in World War I, World War II, and Korea. Betty mentioned coming over from the school and all the military activity occurring here. It's important to stop and note that we're forever grateful for all of those who served coming through the doors here at the Bartek Recreation Center, as we do all veterans who have served to protect our freedom and our liberties. Some 45 years ago in 1969, the building was transitioned into a recreation center for Attleboro residents. For the first 30 of those years, Fred Bartek served as Attleboro's first recreation director. Under his leadership and guidance, and with the support of a long list of dedicated volunteers serving as recreation commissioners, hundreds of thousands of people have entered through these doors to participate in recreational activities. In 2004, the building was rededicated and named the Frederick M. Bartek Center, Recreation Center, in his honor. It's been my great privilege to serve as Attleboro's Recreation Director for the past 8.5 years. And I'm very thankful for the support given by our Recreation Commission, the Municipal Council, and Mayor Dumas, as they've shown a strong commitment, not just to recreation and things for kids to do and adults to do, but also in preserving this beautiful facility and the other beautiful facilities that we have. We've improved many of our facilities over the past 8.5 years that I've been here. This particular building is of special significance because the community that it serves and the kids over here on the east side. Although, as you'll learn tonight, we have people from all over the city coming for various activities. It certainly is an honor and a privilege to come to work every day in a building so steeped in our city's history. Similar to all of our facilities, our maintenance staff, headed by Foreman Cliff Daniel, treat this building with great respect. Our philosophy is to treat our facilities with the same care and respect as we would were it dedicated to one of our family members. A walk through the building after this presentation will show that we consider it an honor to work here. Various activities have taken place here over the past century. I'm sure many of you know more than I do, but I can list a few. There's the firing range down in the back that now serves as a garage for our trucks. I had written down, and Dr. Wall mentioned to me just a moment ago that he remembers something about a car show where they put a ramp in from right across Pine Street, right across the street, and the cars came in the front, and was it the Rotary Club that had their car show here? Since it became a recreational facility, we have a boxing ring, and it's out in the back, and Jake Bredesen has been there for many years, and Jake trained many champions of New England and more, and it's the one area of the building where we really haven't done anything. Since I've been here, we haven't really tried to, we've tried to upgrade it, but Jake says no. And everyone who comes in says, no, this is nostalgic, this is wonderful, this is great, don't change a thing. And when you go out there, you'll think you're back in 1960. They love it. They come from all over to see our gym, our boxing arena. There's a picture over here, I know one of them at least, is of the KFC having their big banquets here. When this building opened, hard for me to believe, but when it opened in 1910, the inaugural night when Governor Draper was here, there were 800 people here in the gymnasium having a sit-down dinner. 800 people. I don't think fire statutes, etc., would allow us to do that today. Betty mentioned the marching exercises and the high school games. I know when I was growing up, my dad graduated from Attleboro High School in 1945, and he always talked about getting in line at 4 o'clock to go to the 7 o'clock basketball game at the Armory. Oh, yeah. That it was, it was just a place to be on a Tuesday or a Friday night. It gives me great pride when someone will come through town who maybe hasn't been here for a while and just happen to stop by just to kind of reminisce and come in. I know Jim Gravel from the Attleboro High School class of 1961 came in, and he was just in awe to see the old facility and how it looked and reminisce. And and then he started an email chain with friends, etc., talking about it. It's really nice to see things like that. One of the main things we do now is the Attleboro Youth Center, which was started years ago by Steve Newman, who's a retired teacher now from Attleboro High School, went over to Bishop Fian, and the high school track, the new track, is being named after Steve come this May. He started that many years ago, and it's something that we continue today after school, Mondays through Thursdays, from 2:45 to 5 o'clock, and then on Friday evenings. It gives the kids a place to go, a place to be. A lot of houses where the parents aren't home after school and the kids are alone, so this gives them a great place. We have a lot of activity here. If you stop by the Recreation Center today, you might find Attleboro Youth Baseball having their winter indoor practice in the gym. Attleboro Youth Soccer is here Saturday mornings, Sunday afternoons, one night during the week. Titans Youth Lacrosse, think about the kids of lacrosse. They're in here on 2 nights a week doing their practices, during the winter months, during the colder months. We have adult soccer leagues. We have the Special Olympics have used our facility for many years for their practice for their basketball and their volleyball. Pat Rouleau brings the Olympics in here. It's really great. We have adult volleyball leagues. We have a male league, a female league, and a co-ed league. We have the homeschoolers come in on Thursdays. During the winter months when the homeschoolers, it's not like going to a public school. You don't have a place to recreate. They come here and recreate. This evening, we have going on 2 events tonight. In addition to this, we have the boxing is open with Jake Bredesen, and then upstairs is an AAU basketball program. It's called MT Elite. Missy Traversi is our high school girls basketball coach now, and she rents out the facility during the spring months and has the girls practice here. So they were up in the gym. In fact, I had to go get the chairs. They had taken all the chairs to do drills. I'm like, Missy, we need the chairs. So there's quite a bit still going on here today. A little bit about some of the complexes, and I guess I'll do a little background. Is that fortunately for me, Tim Killian joined the recreation staff a year ago, and he's done a great job, and it's kind of allowed us to do some things that we had a list of things we wanted to do but couldn't get to. And one of them is to kind of commemorate and memorialize our facilities. If you go to Finberg Field, you don't know what it's about. What's Finberg? What's a Finberg? If you go down to Nickerson Playground, what is it? So we had this list for a long time, things that we wanted to do, and one was to start putting kiosks up in our facilities. Now that requires, of course, some research, which we're hoping that maybe we can work with the Attleboro Historical Preservation Society and the Attleboro Historical Commission to help us in this endeavor to get background information so that we can put it back out there. When Fred Bartek was here, and I've spoken to Fred about this, he said, oh, there's oodles and oodles of information available. Unfortunately, somewhere in the transition after Fred and before me, it's no longer here. We don't have all that information. So we're going to research it from scratch. We're going to start again, and we'll memorialize each of our facilities. We started that last year with the Horton Field. And we rededicated Horton Field last June, and most of you probably, have you done a thing on Everett Horton, Betty, I would assume?
No, but we know Marion Lightington was instrumental in trying to get information either for you or for Tim, I don't know.
Yep, for that, and Evelyn was with us that day and spoke. So now when you go to Horton Field, and this is what we envision at most of our facilities, there's a kiosk, beautiful kiosk that our maintenance guys made, and inside the kiosk is a biography of Everett S. Horton, Civil War hero, prisoner of war, came back to Attleboro, was a partner in the Horton Angel Company, then went on to be one of the first people on the board at the Attleboro Public Library, also one of the trust companies in town, etc. And to read the story about Everett Horton and what he did in serving as a prisoner of war and being a major in the war, it's something that we should preserve, relish, and pass on to future generations. So now, and it's been so touching for the last year, I get calls from people saying, geez, I was just over at Horton Field. I can't believe who Horton is, We just thought it was somebody who lived over there, So we're hoping to do that at many more facilities. We're planning the next one we're going to do, who has a special feeling for us because Conley Playground is named after a gentleman who worked for the Recreation Department and was a foreman at the Recreation Department, and was killed not while working on the job, but was killed while working here in the city of Attleboro and was the foreman. So we're going to redo that this summer, and we plan to do 2 a year for the next number of years until we get them all named, and then when you visit something, you'll know, who it's about. So Tim and I have kind of started this. Tim did a lot of the research. We looked up all the city council votes. So you can look up all the votes and see. Linda Alger has done a wonderful job. It's all computerized now. So we looked up all the votes that might have the name Briggs on there for Fred Briggs Playground or Dave Allard Memorial Park. So we'd plug in the word Briggs and it would come up with when the vote was taken to approve it, et cetera. So that gives us a good starting point. But I will go through some of the properties that we have, just so you realize how much we do have. And here in Attleboro, it's a little different than some communities. We have a park department, which also has the zoo and animal control, and then we have a recreation department. So if Capron Park is not under our jurisdiction, the Balfour Riverwalk Park is not. Ours are the recreational facilities in town. We also have, I think when a changeover was made, we have Willett School. The field at Willett School is under our care, so we take care of Willett School as well. But other than that, we don't take care of the school fields or the park department ones. Freddie Briggs Playground over here, which has a new pool, which was rebuilt about 10 years ago, has 2 basketball courts, a skateboarding, and the pool. It's named after Freddie Briggs, and there's a trust fund. The city has the Freddie Briggs Trust Fund, which is for the care and maintenance of the facility.
Excuse me, but wasn't it always just referred to as the East Side Playground?
It was. It's the Freddie Briggs Playground through a vote, yes. And it's interesting, when I first started this job, a good friend of mine, Bill Crowley, sat me down as he could do, and he said, you need to use the proper names of the facilities. And he didn't have to sell me on that. Of course you do, right? So when I talk about some of these, you'll say, so there is a real name to that. Yes, there is. We have Dave Allard Memorial Park. I don't know if any of you knew Dave, but Dave, that's a picnic area overlooking Lake Como in South Attleboro. And it's a beautiful area. And Dave was a long-time member of the Substance Abuse Commission and did a lot of work with substance abuse in the city, and that was named for him. Conley Playground, I mentioned, that's at the intersection of Route 123 and Cumberland Avenue. We rehabbed that in the last 2 years. We put in a whole new swing set area. It's a quaint little park. I know when we lived on the other side of town, but my wife used to like to take the kids to Conley because it's just a fun little place, and it was very quiet, beautiful trees. We redid the playground area. Dougie Clark, one of our guys in our department, he took a train from somewhere. I don't even know where it was, Cliffy, but he likes projects like this, and he redid the train, and he named it Old Nancy, which my wife didn't appreciate, because I think it was after my wife. That's a great take down there. Finberg Field, as most of you probably know, over on Bishop Street, has 2 basketball courts, 2 playground areas, a walking trail. Big thing now at our facilities that have them is the walking trails. If we had a heck of a winter, our guys have to go out and plow, right? So if there's a snowstorm, if they're in at 7 a.m., or they might be up all night, like at midnight, going into plow all night. We start getting calls in the morning, hey, when are you going to do the walking path around Finberg? It's like, so I think, I just had this thought now, maybe what we'll do is to say, if you really need to walk, you can come over here, we'll let you walk around the gym. Because it's great to recreate, but it's amazing how much use that our walking paths get. We have the walking path around the Finberg complex. Many of you who have been around for a while know that tennis was a big, booming sport back in the 60s and 70s. It seemed like everyone was playing tennis. The big thing over there now in the summer, we don't have the tennis courts anymore. We took them out about 5 years ago, and last summer we moved the Attleboro Farmers Market over there. It's been a great success over there. It's a great location for them. They're very happy. So that's over there. There are 4 baseball fields over at Finberg, one of which is named Cooney Field. And that's named after J. Ray Cooney, who graduated from Attleboro High School, class of 1912. Class of 1912. And then he came back and taught phys ed in the school department for 40 some odd years. Now I hope people can't add too well together to know if he was teaching for 40 years, and Betty said she had him in class and all of that, but because she only looks about 50, so.
Oh, thank you. You get a star.
An interesting side note on J. Ray Cooney's, my older brother Mike, his claim to fame is that he pitched the first ever game at Cooney Field. And it was a big to-do back then. It was like the elite great ball field in this city. And I think if he lived in Attleboro, he'd be a member of your commission, because when he comes to Attleboro, he has to do the tour. He has to go to the Pines. He has to go, over to the YMCA. He has to go to Bliss, the old Bliss School, and it's just nice to see and how the feeling and love for the city of Attleboro, and I really have a strong sense that we need to save that and pass it on to the next generations. Just some notes on Finberg from the votes that we looked up. Back in 1923, there was a vote of the council to construct a backstop. I think this was the first thing that happened there. It's construction of a backstop, and that was $150. Today, you could not get a section of a backstop for $150. In 1936, there's not a lot of detail, but the vote said $1,135 to construct tennis courts. So, and it's called Finberg Field, but there was a vote to accept some land from Joseph Finberg and from Olive Daggett to enlarge the recreation fields. And the little I know of the Daggett family is down off of North Main Street there, where the Daggett home was, etc. But it's the first connection I've seen with Finberg Field with the Daggett family. We have Hayward Field is under our jurisdiction over on North Avenue. It has a football field. Well, let's talk about the complex first. It used to be Hayward Field. Now it's actually a complex because you have Hayward Field, and you have Walsh Field, and you have the Spatcher Pool. So we call it still the Hayward Field complex, which has Hayward Field itself, which is used for football and baseball. And some notes on the Hayward Field is that in January 23rd of 1917, the donation of land was voted in memory of Charles E. Hayward. And that in 1924, 7 years later, Harold E. Sweet set up a trust fund for maintenance of Hayward Field at the sum of $10,000 back in 1924. I'll remind you that the cost of this building just a few years earlier was $45,000. That was quite a donation back in the day. Some of the things we saw were permits being approved for the KFC, of all things, a permit for boxing matches. What's KFC doing having boxing matches? Twilight Softball League, which, I've heard of it being, the industrial league. I'm sure it's the same type of thing where they used to have the Balfour and all the other companies had softball teams. And in my day, it was kind of down at, I'll say it now improperly, down at Hebronville and Dodgeville. But those are not the proper names for those facilities. They had wrestling in 1932 over at Hayward Field. An interesting vote in 1957, $700,000 to construct a junior high school at Hayward Field. Now obviously that never happened, but that is a vote that the municipal council took in 1957. The vote was on June 4th, 1957. Could not find a vote to rescind that or anything of that nature, but be interesting to find out if some other school was built around that time. I know the new high school was built in about 1960, was it? 1960. So maybe they decided to build a new high school and move the middle school there instead of building a new middle school. I'm not sure. Also over at that facility is the Georgia I. Spatcher Memorial Pool. The pool was constructed in 1972, and it was reconstructed. I don't know what the original cost was, but the reconstruction cost $1.7 million 5 years ago. And I remember as a kid going there and going off the high dive and all the fun stuff. But now, no state pool and any new municipal pool that's being built is over 4 feet deep. That obviously was State Representative George Spatcher. His son's a lawyer in town, also named George. He went on to be a state representative, I believe. The dad did.
Taught at Attleboro High.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Taught at Attleboro.
He taught at Attleboro High?
Yes,
Wow.
and his daughter as well.
Yeah, I know his daughter Diane, yeah, teacher at the school, yeah. Also at that facility we have Walsh Field, which is no relation to me. That was dedicated in 1997. It's actually named the John and Kathleen Walsh Field. It was donated by the children of John and Kathleen Walsh. I know Billy Walsh and his brother John. I'm not sure if there are other siblings involved, but I do know those two. Their dad originally owned Walsh Contracting, and now I think it's passed down to some grandchildren. We have under the care, and it's interesting, I don't have an address for it, the Hebronville Memorial, which we moved a few years ago. But someone has to go out there and take care of, the grass, et cetera, and that's under the care of the Recreation Department. It's one of those things that needs to be done, and our guys are glad to do it. I think this fellow might know something about that. Is that right? You know something about that one?
The Hayward Community Association. The Hayward Community Association had that monument built in 1947.
1947.
That's what the first was. That was the third location.
The one we just moved it to was the third?
Well, it was there originally. Originally was there before they reconstructed the road in '66, and then they moved it a little to the left. Got hit by a car, broke the stone, so they moved it in front of the Finberg School. Was there for about a dozen years. And we fought, and we finally got it back to where it is today. Gary Demers moved it with Demers moving the stone for us.
Yeah, and St. Liston's did the plantings.
Oh, listen, okay.
Horton Field that I mentioned earlier, we rededicated that last year, named in honor of Major Everett Southworth Horton. Here's one that Cliff's been here a while, and he may not even know this is under our care and jurisdiction, because I don't think it never got developed for sure. But the Max Mockman Memorial Park. Clifton Street, correct. There was a vote in 1964 that a certain area of land located at the easterly end of Manchester Reservoir be designated Max Mockman Memorial Park. And nothing ever got developed there, and I don't know what type of issues they ran into, etc. But I know some people speak of it and have been out there, and but there's nothing official out there, no recreation area. We also take care of the Noel Cemetery, what we call, not the cemetery itself, but roadside. There's a land strip out in front of the cemetery. We take care of that. Nickerson Playground down on Snell Street, which is somewhere where I played as a child. It has a playground, and the playground was redone a few years ago thanks to the generosity of the Rotary Club and the South Attleboro Lions and First Bristol County National Bank Charitable Association, skateboard park and basketball. The land was donated in 1957 for park purposes from Albert H. Nickerson. And then 19 years later, in 1976, there was a vote to name the playground at Ides Hill in honor of Mr. Albert Nickerson. On that site now, there is also a baseball diamond, a Little League diamond. And on February 17th of 1976, the vote was to name the Little League field at Ides Hill be dedicated in memory of Francis Driscoll. Francis Driscoll was an Attleboro High School, an Attleboro, son of Attleboro. He went to Attleboro High School, great athlete, student athlete, went on to Brown University, played 2 sports at Brown University. I think he captained one of the sports at least. And he tragically died serving in the Vietnam War while flying over Thailand in February of 1968. Interesting to that is my my older brothers idolized Freddie Driscoll. Fran graduated from Attleboro High in 1960. My brothers graduated from school starting in '65, my oldest brother, and they always talked about Fran Driscoll and what a wonderful person he was, let alone great athlete. So it's kind of touching to go down to the Vietnam Memorial, and even with my kids I've been down there, and you find his name and scratch it off on the wall, you know, a son of Attleboro. And there are many more, but at least that's one that touches my heart, and I know anyone who's from that era. The Owsley Field. Does anyone know where Owsley Field is besides you? Evelyn does, Mrs. Vincent does. They're all from the Hebronville part of town, huh? The natives. Everyone calls it Hebronville Field. It's now known. It's now where the softball league is. It's as you're leaving the city on South Main Street. It's the second field, the one closest to Seekonk over the bridge. That's Owsley Field, named for Garnett W. Owsley, who I don't know a lot about. If you want to chime in, if you know a lot about him.
They lived on 9th Avenue, if I understand, the Owsley family. And I think, was his brother was a policeman? Was that the same family as Owsley?
There were several.
I think he donated something.
Donated
They
the
named
land.
the field after him. And but tonight they were playing a softball game there tonight.
Yeah.
I said, wow, spring is here. Under the lights, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice lighting.
It's one of the few lit fields that we have in the city. Well, that's not true. We have Hayward Field, which is lit, but we don't have it lit for baseball. South Attleboro is lit. That's lit. There are lights there, but it's more for the football field, and not for the softball that we play there. You say it's spring. If you live down in that part of town, or if you go by there, in most of our fields, we have to fight people off to stay off the fields. We tell them you cannot go on the fields until April 1st. April 1st is it, no matter what. And like that field will be in use until November 15th. Almost every night. Almost every night. It's most of our facilities are used basically year round and most nights of the week.
Any way to compensate for the drainage over there? Sometimes it seems to get all soggy and filled up and flooded, and
Particularly out in the parking lot area, out in the outfield. Yeah. It does. The good thing about that field is it's a men's softball league. So, although we want to give care and consideration to the men's softball league, we've kind of worked a relationship with them where, hey, if you want some improvements, help us out here. Because the monies and the funds that we have, we like to put into youth programs and projects and facilities. And even with the youth programs, Attleboro Youth Baseball will work with us. You know, if we fix the infield, they'll put a new fence up. It's always something, you know, it's a very shared relationship. And I'll get to South Attleboro in a second, but it's a great shared relationship with Attleboro Youth Baseball. Attleboro Youth Soccer, we had a drainage problem at Ponce and Hewitt in the soccer field. Attleboro Youth Soccer put up the first $10,000 to repair the soccer field. In South Attleboro, it's been a great down there with SAGRA, the girls' recreation facility. At Ponce and Hewitt Recreation Complex, that's our newest facility out on Oak Hill Avenue, named after Bernie Hewitt and Larry Ponson, two gentlemen who were tragically killed in the explosion over on George Street while working for the city. That has 2 big soccer fields, 4 baseball fields, walking path, playground, exercise stations, a concession stand, which is it's operated by the league, so it's only open when the leagues are there. And it has restrooms, which are only open when the leagues are there. So we get a lot of complaints about that. But one of the things we found in insurance and et cetera, it's best not to have facilities open unless you have someone there to monitor them. So
Commentary on people.
yes. We do have one baseball field there that's named after a commissioner who tragically, suddenly passed away a few years ago, Emmett Larkin. So We have 4 fields. Field number 1 is named after Emmett, who was a great supporter of youth programs in the city, served on Attleboro Youth Baseball long after his kids were done. You know, one of those unbelievable support people in the city of Attleboro, just great to the youth of Attleboro. And you could, yeah, Joe?
The soccer fields, the question on the drainage, was that litigation squared away or was it dropped? About the initial install?
I'm not sure that there was any litigation on it, Joe. I think time had passed that you know, that you couldn't go back to the original.
Okay.
Sometimes what I found so far is that even though it's expensive to fix it, it costs you 3 times as much to fight someone about it, and then fix it. You know, because the lawyer fees just add up and up and up, and so it's just best to move on and get done what you can. And it was you know, it was an idea of Attleboro Youth Soccer, along with, you know, Cliff and the maintenance guys, that we really need to do something, and we were just fortunate the mayor supported it. Attleboro Youth Soccer put up the first amount of funds, and now it drains beautifully, and it was just a matter of that there were too many rainouts, you know. It wasn't that it was, I mean, it was still mostly useful, you know, pretty useful, but soccer season's a short season, you know, and if you miss it, you know, 3 or 4 days in a row, it just throws everybody in a tizzy. And you know, the way sports are today, we have to get soccer season over so we can start football season, which we have to get over so we can start fall ball. You know, it just keeps going on and on and on. That is a beautiful complex. If you like to walk, serene. To this point, we have not allowed, and we do not plan on it, and the Recreation Commission has been very strong in this. No commercialization out there. No signs, no scoreboards, just a nice, serene, beautiful facility. And unless this commission changes, it's not going to happen for a long time. And it's something that I support. It's just beautiful. Most people know this one as Lee's Pond in South Attleboro. The actual name of that is South Attleboro Veterans Memorial Park. And that's one to me, I mean, think about the name. South Attleboro Veterans Memorial Park. We shouldn't call it anything but what it is. You know, think of all the people who served our country from South Attleboro that is a monument to. So I'm a pretty stickler on not calling it Lee's Pond. There is a pond there that was on the Lee, like next to the Lee family's house, but that's the pond. The facility is South Attleboro Veterans Memorial Park. Last year they kind of rededicated a portion of it, and they built they built a beautiful pavilion there. That was the South Attleboro Legion led the efforts for that, and that's beautiful. And another commentary on today is interesting. There's a lot of graffiti there. You know, at times kids are kids. I was a kid. You know, I hate to say some of the things that I did, but there's graffiti there, etc. No one touches it. The new pavilion. No one touches it. Interesting so far. Cliff would spend a day down there cleaning up all kinds of stuff. No trouble. Now, a little aside to that is, it does have a video camera on it. I like to think it's because they respect those who served. There's a pool down there, which people call, you know, Lee's Pond Pool. It's not. It's the William Lydell Jr. Memorial Pool. Bill Lydell Jr. was a longtime recreation commissioner, served 25 years, and upon his death, it was recommended by the Recreation Commission and voted by the City Council to name it the William Lydell Jr. Memorial Pool. I mentioned before about, am I going on too long, Betty?
No.
Okay. That facility, when I took over, when my kids played sports, my kids now, one's a senior in high school, one's a sophomore in college. We went down to that facility to play, I think it was Pee Wee 7 or something. And I was disgusted. It was just horrible. Kids should not be playing on it. We called it the Dust Bowl, and everyone called it the Dust Bowl. So when I became rec director, kind of sat down after a few years with Attleboro Youth Baseball and SAGRA, and came up with a plan that we're going to give this facility to SAGRA. We're going to have all the girls softball at this one facility. Kind of a pain if you live in this part of town to have to go to South Attleboro, but you know what? They do it for baseball. You go all over to wherever the facility is. So SAGRA ended up, they took ownership of the facility. They really took, it's called, SAGRA is South Attleboro Girls Recreation Association. They run girls softball leagues, field hockey, and they used to do basketball. Interesting, once we decided to do that, well, this particular, now it's their facility, geez, I know this fella over at this place, he might donate the stone dust. I know someone here. In 5 years, it's like the nicest softball facility in the area. And a lot of it has to do with the people from SAGRA have the ownership and want to have a nice facility. And then when they put the pavilion in, that's beautiful. It really is, it's a top-notch facility. The South Attleboro Whitehawks, which is a football organization, still uses that facility as well. But it's SAGRA's now, and since they have lights, they let Attleboro Youth Baseball, if they want, a couple of Saturday nights. They have a nice relationship as well. They can go down there and play. Some of their younger teams can play a night game down there, because it's cool for a kid to play a night game. It's one of the nice things that I've seen over the years as rec director is that the leagues work very well together. If something happens that a field's not available, or say SAGRA's having a tournament, they need one more field, Attleboro Youth Baseball works very well with them to say, yeah, you know, you guys take Finberg for the day. You know, we'll cancel practices or move it, and vice versa. And all the leagues work well together. This Saturday is opening day for Attleboro Youth Baseball, so soccer didn't schedule any games over at Ponce and Hewitt. You know, they'll schedule away games for this week, and next week, you know, they'll resume back to their schedule. It's nice to see how the leagues work together. I was trying to get some information on Lee's Pond, and the only thing I come up with is that Edna Lee, or Edna Lees with an apostrophe, she paid her taxes on June 16, 1936. I'm assuming it's because it said next to South Attleboro's Lee's Pond. So it was officially named in 1954. That's how long it's been officially named South Attleboro Veterans Memorial Park. I mentioned that you have the Liddell pool there. A lot of people, again, from down in the Hebronville, Dodgeville area know this one as the Dodgeville Playground, which is actually Tilda B. Stone Playground. And this is one that I'm going to assume that Bill Crowley also grew up in that area, because Bill was quite forceful on making sure that this was appropriately named, that it's Tilda B. Stone. It's ingrained in my head from day one with Bill, believe me. Tilda B. Stone Playground, Twin Village Pool. So my understanding is that it was a pool put there for the two villages, yes, Hebronville and Dodgeville, and information from Bill and for some other areas gives me the impression, as was the South Attleboro one, the Liddell pool, that it was a community effort, and that it wasn't really a city effort to build the pool. It was the residents of that part of town who worked together to raise the funds and physically do the labor, etc., to get the pool built.
Bill Crowley was very instrumental.
Well, he never mentioned that part. In 1935, there was a vote, July 2nd, 1935, of $1,500 to purchase the site in the village of Dodgeville for a playground. So I think they bought that land, the city did, in 1935 to get that area going. It was officially dedicated as Tilda B. Stone Playground in 1959. And then in 1975, there was a donation of $5,000 from the estate of Mrs. Tilda B. Stone for the care of the playground. I should note that there are a lot of trust funds still in place for a lot of these facilities. What we've tried to do is not use them because you can build up and then do a nice project. The Briggs pool over here, a lot of funds came from the Briggs trust fund that the city has. It's done by the trust commissioners. it's not a, you know, exorbitant amount of money for most of them, but if you let it sit and build up a little bit, then you can do a nice project. You know, there's no sense trying to do half a job or something. You know, a lot of times we can take the funds and use 10,000 from the city, 10,000 from the trust fund, and get something nice done. So that's how we've tried to use the trust funds. There was a donation as well, an anonymous donation. There was a vote of $2,000 when they were building that pool down there. It just says a vote of thank you for the anonymous donation. So again, I hope I gave you a little bit of insight that all of these facilities mean something to me. And they certainly mean something to the guys who work for me. Our recreation guys, Cliffy, opening day Saturday for baseball. Cliff took some benches and things last night and came back and, you know, hope no one from the city's watching this, but he came back and worked out back till 6 o'clock last night doing some painting. Why? Because they want the facility to look nice. They really care about the city, the facilities, and what they mean. They really do, and most departments, all departments that I know, really have an affection and a strong affinity for the city of Attleboro and the people that we serve. It really is a pleasure to work with the people here, other departments. As I said, we're not part of the park department, we're separate. We have a great relationship with Sonny Almeida and the folks at the park department. If they need help with something, we go and help. If we need something, they help. Same with the highway department and other departments. It's a good relationship, because in the end, our kind of motto, our philosophy is, listen, we're here for the city. What does it matter if it's rec or, you know, the park department? It's the city of Attleboro. It's all the same taxpayers' money, right? So let's just get it done. The one thing I don't want is a call from someone with a complaint about our facilities. And you can be assured, and Clippy can attest to this, if we get a call, we're on it. Sometimes we get a call, you know, something, we can't, we're a maintenance crew. We can't be out there every day looking at every park, at everything. So we'll get a call about something. A lot of times we don't know there's a problem unless you let us know, unless the citizens let us know, unless the residents let us know. If we get a call of someone, we don't really look at it as a complaint. We look at it as something we have to go take care of. We might not be happy that some kid wrote something nasty on a porta-john, but we'll go take care of it. We don't want that out there, right? So that, you know, our philosophy is just that, you know, you're gonna work. You might as well be happy doing what you're doing. Let's make it something that everybody likes. And I will tell you that since I started, Mayor Dumas, who's been here through all the city councils, he has been so supportive of recreation, and he looks at it as an outlet for our residents. And he's really tried to help us capital projects. We've improved since I've been here. Finberg's been all redone, most of the fields. All new backstops at all our fields, little by little each year. I love hearing that noise. Just not when I'm working, right, Tim? So that I have some pictures upstairs. I should have brought them actually of what the facilities looked like when we got here. If you could see them then and what they are. And in fact, they're on our website because there was an editorial in the newspaper, and I took offense to it. So I said, we'll never pick a fight with a guy who buys his ink by the barrel, I know. But I didn't like the editorial, so I went and took pictures of all our facilities, how they are now, and then I put them up in a contrast on the other side is what they were like when we started. The first thing I did the first week was I went and took pictures of all our facilities. And the transformation is unbelievable. And I get a lot of credit as I go through town. What a wonderful job, Horton Field. I can't believe how nice Horton Field is. It looks wonderful, it's beautiful. Well, Horton Field is like that because Cliff and Doug came in and said, you know, there's an area of that Horton Field that doesn't look that good. If we did this and did that, it might look good. Now people go by and they're like, wow, people haven't been in Attleboro in 20 years. I can't believe Horton Field. And that's the way it is in most of our facilities. The guys have ideas and they're out there and come up with things to change and ways to improve things and make things look better. And it really is a joy to work here and to work with Cliff and Doug and all the other guys that are in our department. And I'm very fortunate now to have Tim because now I can really start working on things like this that I really love. I'm a kind of a historian of Attleboro sports. I've spent too many hours at the library I have researched every football, basketball, and baseball game in Attleboro High School history from 1924 until 1990 on microfilm at the library. So now I have my own. It's pretty interesting. Guys will come and say, you know, I had a guy once tell me his dad was a great baseball player. He batted 400 his junior year and 500 his senior year. I didn't have the heart to go back and tell him when I looked it up he batted 226. But, you know, it's...
Dad's pride.
So, again, if you have questions or if someone else wants to chime anything in, but if not, we'll go upstairs. We can either go through the ramp, and maybe Cliff, you could take people one way, and Tim, I'll take people the other way. It might be neat to go see the boxing area, which isn't that far from here, and it's on this level. I think it's not much to see, but the archery range, Cliff opened the door at least, right, which all that's in there now is trucks, but some people have been through the building before and kind of, when they go to a spot, wow, I remember. And then upstairs, the gym is absolutely beautiful. This building is immaculate. You know, now you're just in a meeting room. If you go upstairs, it's immaculate. It's beautiful, and it's just, again, a tribute to the guys who take care of it and take great pride in it. So, thank you for coming.